So, breaking news. Donald Trump just made one of the most reckless and dangerous moves we've ever seen from a sitting president. He revoked Secret Service protection from Kamala Harris, a former vice president of the United States. Now, I want you to think about that for a second. A former vice president, one of the most high profile women in America, a woman who has been threatened, vilified, and targeted for years. Trump didn't just cut her protection. He deliberately ripped it away at the exact moment she's about to launch a nationwide book tour where she'll be in front of crowds, cameras, and strangers every single day. I'll tell you, that's not coincidence. It's calculated. By law, former vice presidents only get 6 months of Secret Service protection after they leave office. That 6 months ended for Harris back in July. Normally, her protection would have stopped there. But President Biden saw the writing on the wall. He knew Trump would go after his political rivals. He knew Harris was still a target. So Biden extended her Secret Service protection through January of 2026. Trump didn't just roll back a policy. He overrode that extension. He chose to personally strip away the one safeguard standing between a former vice president and the constant stream of threats she faces every single day. That's not leadership. That is political vengeance weaponized. Let's be clear about what this means. Secret Service isn't just a couple of guys in suits and sunglasses. They're the ones running intelligence, scanning social media, monitoring extremist chatter, and stopping plots before they become action. They're the ones coordinating with local police when Harris steps into a public arena. They're the people who make sure when threats surface, and they always do, those threats never reach her. And Trump, he ripped that away. He left her to fend for herself with private security that will never match the scope, the reach, or the intelligence capabilities of the United States Secret Service. Now let's ask ourselves why. Why would a president of the United States put a former vice president at risk like this? The answer is ugly, but it's simple. Because she is his rival, because she's a black woman who stood up to him, because she represents everything he hates and everything his base cheers for him to tear down. This wasn't about money. This wasn't about rules. This wasn't about fairness. This was about revenge. And here's the bigger danger. If Trump can yank protection from Kamala Harris, he can yank it from anyone. Today it's her. Tomorrow, it could be any other opponent on his enemies list. Maybe it's a senator. Maybe it's a governor. Maybe it's their families. He's setting the precedent that your safety as a political official depends on whether or not you bow down to him. That is authoritarianism. This move isn't just reckless. It's vindictive. It isn't just political. It's personal. It's dangerous. And it shows once again, Trump isn't focused on protecting America. He's focused on punishing America. So don't let anyone tell you this is just procedure. Don't let anyone downplay this as normal. This is Trump using safety as a weapon, turning protection into punishment. And when a president starts deciding who deserves to be safe and who doesn't, we're not living in a democracy anymore. We're living under a ruler who thinks he can decide life and death based on loyalty. And that's exactly what makes this move not only ridiculous, but terrifying.
ABC News has learned President Trump is revoking Secret Service protection for former Vice President Kamala Harris. Former President Biden extended Harris's protective detail for an additional year on top of the 6 months she's required to have by law. Now the president's saying they can terminate that effective September 1st. How significant is that?
All right, folks, so we have some disturbing breaking news. Donald Trump's revenge spree continues. He has officially revoked the Secret Service protection of former Vice President Kamala Harris as she prepares for a massive national book tour, which will no doubt expose her to significantly greater danger. So he has basically disarmed her and deprived her of security at a time when she needs it the most. And this, of course, comes months after a Trump voter murdered a Democratic lawmaker and her husband and shot another Democratic lawmaker and his spouse. So political violence is everywhere, and Trump is making his political opponents much more vulnerable out of spite. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, folks, we're going to play the rest of this clip and then look into a New York Times article which dives a bit deeper and get the public reaction.
Yeah, it is significant. The former vice president, is about to do a very big book tour in just a couple of weeks that has her traveling around the country. This is very highly publicized. A spokesperson for the former vice president says simply that Harris is grateful to the U.S. Secret Service for their professionalism, dedication, and unwavering commitment to safety. Now, we do know that former President Biden had extended Harris's protection for an additional 12 months. That's on top of the 6 months that she was given by law because she is a former vice president. So that would have been a year and a half. That will now be cut short. That ends on September 1st based on this memo that President Trump has sent to the Secretary of Homeland Security saying that they are now authorized to end any security-related procedures as it comes to former Vice President Harris. And Diane, just have to mention that this is the latest in a list of people that the president has now canceled security protections for. It was a couple months ago that he did this for the Biden children, for former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, and John Bolton, his one-time national security advisor.
So people who used to be political supporters who then became somewhat or extensively critical of Trump or his political opponents or the children and family members of his political opponents. This is a level of spite and viciousness at an incredibly violent time that is truly dangerous, and it's textbook Donald Trump. I will also point out that Bolton and Pompeo, Trump's former Secretary of State and former National Security Advisor, are under death threat from Iran in particular because of service they provided to Donald Trump during his first administration. In other words, their service to Trump is what put them in danger in the first place, thus the need for additional protection. And Donald Trump, because they have criticized him on occasion, is stripping their protection from them. And now he's doing it with Vice President Harris as well. So again, let's take a look here at the New York Times.
This man, Donald Trump, is petty, y'all. He just did Kamala Harris dirty. He really left her out there for the wolves, y'all, and had no care in the world. This man straight up snatched Kamala Harris Secret Service protection right before her book tour took off. Think about that. She's about to be traveling city to city, signing books, meeting people, shaking hands, signing autographs, standing on stages. And right before she does this, he took away all her protection rights that she had in the Secret Service. That ain't no coincidence, y'all. That's calculated. The timing is too perfect. It's too obvious. If y'all don't understand what's going on, this is a whole power trip. This man like, I got you. If I want to decide you can be safe, I can do that. I can tell them to protect you. And just like I can tell them to protect you, I can tell them not to. It's coming from Trump, y'all. You know this shit is personal. Well, you know it feels personal. This man just like, go ahead. Go do your book signing. Go tour to tour. I want to see how you move without the protection of the Secret Service, though. I just feel like this is fucked up, y'all. And this is highly, highly weird. He wouldn't want that shit done to him or his family. Like I said, that's fucked up. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this down below in the comments.
First off, the Secret Service isn't something a former president can just snap his finger and revoke. That's a federal agency under the Department of Homeland Security, not the Donald Trump Personal Security Squad. So, the claim doesn't even make sense. But beyond the fact-checking, let's talk about why this kind of narrative even spread. It's because people are still buying Trump's cut-off personalities, where he's painted as an all-powerful figure who can override institutions. That's authoritarian thinking, and it's dangerous.
This message goes out to Madam former Vice President Harris.
The message is that the veterans are going to support you. They're going to help protect our ex-vice president, which should have been president, but we already know, and make sure that she's safe from the January 6ers, the racists, the bigots, the basura that America has that's waiting to hurt her because of Trump and his rhetoric. Republicans, you should be standing up to this, but guess what? You don't care, because the only thing that matters to you guys is passing your Project 2025. But veterans proudly will stand up. So any veteran that is in the area or any place that she will be speaking or doing the book signings, contact this woman that's on the snap. and get it in. Help her. Anybody else want to? Americans, you're welcome. Thank you.
You know what Donald Trump can't do? He can't compete where he doesn't compare. And guess what? He wakes up every day knowing that he will never compare to Kamala Harris. He can never compete with the intellect of Kamala Harris. He can never compete with the reach and the hope and the joy that Kamala Harris brings. You can cancel her Secret Service, buddy, but guess what? She is divinely protected. This woman, listen, be prepared for the midterms, friends, and get ready for 2028, because this is going to be not only a blue wave, it's a blue tsunami. Make sure you are registered. Make sure every person you know is registered. Find your local elected officials or people running for office and go volunteer your time if you are able. Have a good day. It's gonna be fine. We're gonna be fine. Everything is gonna be fine. You know why? Because that shit doesn't last forever. The pendulum always swings, and guess what? Donald Trump is not in control the way that he thinks he is control. Have a good day. Love you. Bye.
So now I guess I gotta go get dressed, put on my clothes to go protect Kamala. Because this dirty dog revoked her privileges. So I gotta go find me something to put on. Let me see. This is crazy. Where are my black sweats and my... This is crazy because I don't understand. Let me get my leather jacket. It's hot in California. This is crazy. We're not gonna do this. You is not getting ready to have her just out here dirty, lost in the world. We gotta protect her. Where are we meeting at? Where are we meeting at?
Instead of spreading this nonsense, let's focus on the real issue. We need to hold Trump accountable for this very real damage he's already done to democratic institutions. Misinformation like this only distracts from ongoing threats to voting rights, reproductive freedom, and racial justice.